Hello and welcome to the ExtremeZPodcast, the only Dokkan podcast making your favorite talk show format relevant again. I'm your host, Epic Mewtwo.
And I'm your co-host, Kayvon.
And welcome to episode 25 of the ExtremeZPodcast.
How are we at episode 25?
I don't know. I feel like we haven't been doing this for that long. Didn't we only start this year?
Well, let's do quick maths. Hold up. We're at 25 episodes. It's bi-weekly, so that's times 2. So that's 50 weeks divided by 4. We've been doing it over a year.
Dang, that's crazy.
Wow.
The first year anniversary of Dokkan Assets is here. Special the Dokkan Assets banner incoming, or Dokkan Assets banner. I was reading the bottom text on the thumbnail and not the top text, which is what I meant to say. Well, speaking of Dokkan Assets,
segues.
Today's episode is going to be about Dokkan Assets, which I mean, if you don't know by this point, that's me, baby.
Well, no, it's not. Who are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
We're just all about how we're trying to be so professional at podcasts, and half the time we're just laughing at each other.
I mean, but like, we
can't stop being clowns.
It's our own kind of professionalism.
It's in our blood.
It's
the
like
circus runs through us.
It's like laid back professionalism.
Exactly.
I mean, like,
it's barely professional.
We are our own boss, so technically professionalism can be whatever we want.
True. Got me there.
Big brain.
Anyhow, we have news.
Yes.
Not right.
Unfortunately, since it's kind of just on the tail end of the 500 million download celebration, the 300 million download celebration, there ain't too much to cover. Starting at the reopening, I guess you would call it. Basically, the Cell and Gohan banners became normal banners.
Yeah, the discounts are gone, essentially.
Yeah,
the step-ups.
Right, the step-ups are gone, yeah.
Free multi, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. On JP, and then obviously the beginning discounts on Global, and then the free multis are gone as well. They always do this, and I honestly think this is kind of cool, because then anybody who couldn't pull them or just wants to pull a little bit more maybe still has the opportunity to. And it's also nice too, because then it gives people a little bit more time to save before the next banner. So then that way, obviously I assume that most people would have finished their summons when there was step-ups when there was the free multi and whatnot. So very cool that they do that every time. Either way though, the Cell Bingo campaign started, and we'll get to the end of it, I guess, in a little bit. Bingo! Probably the biggest thing that happened between now and then, which we did talk about in a little bit in the last podcast episode, because it was like a little news flash, was that the LR Androids banner came out on both Global and JP. This banner was pretty cool. It was a very, very good banner for a LR banner.
Should we mention the I just remembered the little
I was gonna get to that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, real quick, the feature units were the androids, the Fighter 16, Android 21, the holding up the piece of clothing 18, Int LR Gohan, which was, what happened there. The Super Vegeta.
Super attack, baby.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful, too. The Vegeta kicking Cell in the stomach, the Int Android 13, the Broly, Bio Broly, I believe that was, Android 18, the AGL Super Vegeta, the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, AGL that just got the EZA, the STR Gohan that just got the EZA, Int Cell, and then some SRs. Now, what's interesting, and the reason why I specifically just go over the featured units, is because this was the exact same on Global and JP with the featured units, which is really cool because it's not often that happens, but there was a little bit of a discrepancy between the versions.
More so than the usual, new unfeatured units on JP not being on Global.
Right. And for some reason, again, very, very odd with this.
Yeah. No idea why.
Tech LR Broly was unfeatured, as you'd expect, on JP's banner, but he was not in the unfeatured pool on Global's banner.
Which is weird because Global got him first.
Right.
So.
Especially strange because he got him first. You would think that, they would be the ones to have him more so, but I suppose not. Of course, there was a couple of units that weren't on the Global banner just because they haven't come out on Global yet, or like they were too soon that they just released on Global. But Broly was the only unit that was like, why? It's very odd.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure why they decided to make Broly not unfeatured, but still very weird. And there wasn't anybody either who we found like pulling him. Because, usually if like something like this happens and then the discrepancy is sort of resolved, because, kind of inevitably with 300 million people playing Dokkan, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to pull him, right? If he was able to be pulled. But he's not. And obviously he was not on like the actual in-game list on Global either. So very odd. No idea what to think of that one. Kind of, I don't think we'll probably get an answer for that either. That'll probably just be another unsolved mystery of Dokkan, unfortunately.
Unsolved Dokkan mysteries.
Yeah, that sounds like actually a pretty good series, I'm not gonna lie. I'd watch that. Anyhow, moving on, the Cell Raid finally went live with the completion of the 5 events that you basically did leading up to it. What's cool, too, is that even though this is obviously still open for a little bit, we already completed all of the raid objectives that were, like, outside of the single-player rewards, which is really cool. That kind of fed into Cell Bingo and other things like that. So very nice. With that Cell Raid as well, they combined that with STR Gohan's EZA, which is a little bit unfortunate. I would have kind of rather them make it 2 separate things, but oh well, I suppose. The Int Banner went live, which is pretty cool. This banner was not too bad either. I would say, at least in my opinion, this was probably one of the best batches of type banners that we've seen in game.
Yeah, I can hear that.
On Global and JP. They were both like really, really good. Globals was pretty good too. Even like with the units that changed between Global and JP, they're both really good. Global and JP's Int Banner specifically were actually the exact same, which is really cool. Int Banner was probably one of the weird ones.
A little weird.
Yeah, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. They're the same. The other Kai banner, basically, they were saying, hey, don't forget to summon on that if you want to summon on it.
Yeah, to cop some guys.
Yeah, exactly. The weekend missions went live on JP. Again, we completed the Cell Raid boss rewards, which, was its own thing, and then it, I believe, also fed into Cell Bingo. And either way, though, the Cell Raid rewards specifically were distributed. We got a bunch of stones, and we got the best wallpaper in Dokkan to date.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Gohan history banner, I guess you'd like to call it. Very, very cool.
Infinite Gohan history.
Based on an old piece of art, which is really cool.
Nice.
Either way, though, there's a little bit of a reminder. Hey, use your purple stone.
No.
Because if you don't, you're out of there. Actually, I hope I used mine. Now that I think about it, I think I did.
Follow your own advice, boy.
Wait, I don't know if I did. Uh-oh.
Not to them.
Uh-oh. Oh, wait. Oh, this is saying, well, a reminder, too, but let me see. Oh, okay. So this was saying that the sale is available till the 30th.
Okay.
Because I think originally it was available till the 27th. Gotcha. Well, that's good. Well, I literally was like going to do it yesterday and I didn't, so I'm glad they did that. Thank you, Dokkan. Very cool.
Very nice.
Besides that, there was only one other thing, and that was a little bit of an error on JP.
Money error on JP. What?
I guess there was a maintenance on the shop.
Oh yeah, I know about that. Do you want to?
Yeah,
talk about that?
go for it.
So, get off the topic on Dokkan for a bit. Japan taxes went up,
Oh, really?
which caused the price of every Japanese gacha game to increase.
What about like ones that are a worldwide release, like Fire Emblem Heroes or Pokemon Masters? Every content is the same.
On the JP side, the prices increase.
Oof, that's rough.
Though they only increase up to $1 for the biggest pack in Dokkan's
Okay, well that sounds
terms
so
at
bad.
least, so it's not that bad, but still, big sucky.
Dang, the dawn of a new era ain't treating Japan so nice. Oh no, that's terrible.
Tax increase, yikes.
Yikes. Taxes went up.
yeah, that's the JP.
Yeah, that's all we got for JP.
So, I'll give you the short and sweet of it. Everything Theo said is the same on Global.
They're the same.
With the exception of Global having a maintenance to add in the World Tournament cards and Global actually, having content.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I had to. So Global got the 30th World Tournament. We have the tech-based form Gotenks, the youth and fusion support. And that's about it, yeah.
Wow. That was really nothing.
But also, just call out the Dokkan Reddit like I usually do.
Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Everybody was complaining that, they changed the World Tournament dailies to only 5 SR Kais a day.
Mm-hmm.
Global Shaft and all. No, they just added the SR Kais onto the current rewards. So stop complaining.
Are they easier to get or harder to get them?
Win 5 times. Win the World Tournament 5 times a day.
Oh.
That's it.
Well, that doesn't seem that bad.
Because EBD Space only shows one reward out of like a list if there is. And the SR Kais were the first reward, so people were like, pretty much, yeah.
Accurate.
Very. Oh yeah, other thing I forgot. Global hit top grossing. Take that, JP.
A, ow, my pride. B, nice.
My pride.
Oh my! Yeah, because they didn't hit it for the androids, did they?
JP didn't get. That's so sad. Why did JP not hit top grossing? Sad boy. I actually do feel a bit sad.
JP is dead.
JP Shaft.
It has to happen every once in a while.
It be like that sometimes.
We really do. We have to even the odds,
Yeah.
We feel bad if we don't get a little bit of Shaft.
This is why people complain that JP gets 130 for top grossing in both stores. And then they forget that Global, one-ups top grossing every other celebration.
True. Also, sorry if you just heard that computer notification. I don't think it came through.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, the viewers. I know you can't hear it, but...
Oh, I can't? Oh, well,
yeah.
My bad. But yeah, that's pretty much all our news.
Wow. That was wow, we didn't even hit 15 minutes!
Well, let's hope our interview expands the watch time a little bit.
Bruh, can I get a bruh in the chat?
Can we? Oh wait, we forgot something.
We did?
Yo, you're dummy. Talk about V-Jump.
Oh, also, you know what else we forgot about? The Cell Bingo.
I mean, we already talked about how we did it, didn't we?
I mean, I guess we went over it briefly.
I mean, yeah, but...
I always forget, because we never... Obviously, that stuff is never in DBZ space. Alright, well...
Talk about V-Jump, yeah, goober.
Yes, to give a shameless plug to the Discord, head down to the Discord below. It is a very, very cool place to be. Not only are we talking about Dokkan all the time over there, we also have a news channel where everything that we talk about in the podcast, and even some other just little... smaller kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I'll think of it. Either way though, every piece of news as soon as it's happening is updated in our Dokkan news channel, so definitely go check that out in the link below. Other than that though,
you do claim that, but at the same time nobody posted the V-Jump link in news.
Yeah, they did.
I don't see it.
I'm looking at it. Scroll up, homie. They posted on the 18th, 10 days ago.
Oh, it was on the 18th? Bro.
Yep.
Oh, well, I was. I'm blind.
Yeah, mad long ago. Yeah,
And,
don't disrespect my chat like that, bro.
I'll disrespect the chat if I want to.
You are the chat, so you best not.
Exactly, I'll disrespect myself.
Oof. Alright, well, moving on from that self-deprecation. Two things. One, this is really cool. We are getting a LR Vegeto campaign, which is really cool.
The blue variety.
Yes, of the blue variety, right? The free LRVB, the STR one. We are getting a campaign similar to the Prime Battle Vegeta one and, the LR Goku one, so on and so forth. So that'll be really cool. And to kind of give a little bit of homage to that, we are getting a STRVB figure. He looks very, very cool. I already have a pre-order. Don't you worry. That video will be going up as soon as I get it. I am mad excited.
Course.
They better not ruin him like they did my boy Gogeta.
Oh, we don't talk about Joy Wheeler over there.
Yeah. Anyway, besides the that little bit, we do have a brand new feature Gohan on the way. Very interesting choice. I was kind of talking about this with Kayvon. I don't really think that future Gohan is as of a marketable character as they think he is.
If he's a hybrid Saiyans leader, everybody's gonna eat him up. So
right. That's how they could revive him.
That's the big brain
with game mechanics. But I think as a card, just I don't know. I get the feeling that they think that future Gohan is a lot more popular than he actually is because I don't know. It feels like in every Dragon Ball, Yeah. Well, I mean, they do that for a lot, but. VB was only in one episode, but it's VB. But
it was an episode is the thing, not a special.
True. But either way, though, I don't know. This is just a little bit of a personal opinion, but I see him come out in so many different games, and in Legends, there's already 2 variations of him. Now in Dokkan, there's going to be 3, 4 if you include all the base form ones too.
Yeah.
But I feel like people just don't really care as much as they think they care. I don't know. I would think that they would have learned their lesson from Fizz Future Gohan's flop of a banner.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know.
Hopefully his banner's better, but we can both agree his art is pretty generic.
Yeah, his art is very generic as well. Funny enough, again, I always have this issue. I like the SSR art better.
Oh, yeah, the SSR is fire. That's how they get you. They want to make you so for the SSR, and then the TR art is just booty.
True.
Also, we should mention he will be Int type, and he has a traditional transformation mechanic.
Yeah.
So no active skill.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting. So he goes from base to Super Saiyan.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting.
Also, I think...
Can only transform if fighting 2 or more android enemies, and there is a future Trunks on your team.
No, don't wish that upon him, please. Don't do that.
Then people will say, people who all trash talk the Fizz one will be thinking differently.
I'm trying to find... I'm pretty sure that actually, now that I mention it about him being in Legends... I think that they literally just not ripped it because obviously it's it's a piece of art. It's just from Dragon Ball. But I think that the future Gohan that's in Legends, the newer one, the one that transforms, is the same art as the UR.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. I'm having a brain fart on what color he is. I'm trying to look him up on the DBZ Space wiki, but I am not seeing him. I guess I'm just being small brain. I'll just look on my phone.
Well, anyway, small brain. Don't worry.
True, but yeah, I do think that the easy clap way to revive him to kind of make his banner a little bit more appetizing, obviously besides just adding more of units that people would want to summon for, would definitely be making him a hybrid Saiyans leader because hybrid Saiyans desperately needs a new leader,
or just making the most busted TR in the game. Easy.
But that's just every new Dokkan Fest.
For
the most part.
That's what people said when Super Boo came out, right?
All right. Well, his team is busted.
But he's not.
He
still gets too much hate, though.
Probably not.
Be quiet here.
I mean, we can agree, though, that Fizz Future Gohan is just pretty bad.
I wouldn't say bad, but he didn't age well. He's old.
He's bad, yeah.
He's aged worse than most 70% leads.
Yikes. 70? Yeah. Oh my. Yo, homie, chill. It ain't that serious.
I mean, most 70% lead ECAs can hit harder than him, so like...
Yeah, no, unfortunately.
Better than him.
Unfortunately, no, you're not wrong. Yes, I do believe... I'm finally pulling it up. Yeah, it's like, well, yes, okay.
The video time.
It's a little bit different, but it's basically the same art.
Interesting.
Either way, though.
Legends ripping off Dokkan?
You mean Dokkan ripping off Legends?
I mean, Dokkan's the better game here, so.
What? That's not how life works.
Yes, it is.
Homie, huh?
If your thing is better, then it's fine to steal it.
That's okay.
Life lessons with K-Von.
I think it's time to move on. All right.
Speaking of stealing, let's let Dokkan Assets steal the show.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
I tried my best.
That was good.
Watch the ad. Be quiet. Don't skip. Bye.
All right. We'll see you in a minute.
And we're back. Hope you enjoyed that ad. You better have enjoyed that ad. But anyways, so if you had to leave for some reason, I don't know, he didn't tell me, he just ended the Discord call. I'm just here recording by myself, but we have Dokkan Assets with us.
Hey, how's it going, guys? What's up?
I had to.
I couldn't hold it. That's
you were
right.
The chosen one.
No, we're not doing that bit again. I'm not gonna talk to myself for another 20 minutes. That video
that would have been a good bit, actually. True. We both interviewed Dokkan Assets. You're just talking to yourself.
No, I can't do that for half an hour. I did it for that 20-minute video, and I was like, at like the end of recording that.
Dokkan Assets Part 2.
It was worth it, but.
Anyhow.
Very exasperating.
Do you want to explain what this meme is about?
Sure. So, basically, I'm Monkey. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Dokkan Assets account on the podcast.
This whole podcast is just a shameless plug.
No. Well, I mean, yes, but actually no. But either way, though, here's the thing, right? Eventually, I do want to do a podcast interviewing, like me interviewing K-Von and then K-Von interviewing me, like, you know, Epic Mewtwo and K-Von Sparker. But with Dokkan Assets, there's so much that I'd like to talk about it, that I feel like that we could have, and we are, making a whole episode out of it. Because with just, like, the rest of the stuff I do, there's a lot to talk about. But I feel like just Dokkan Assets specifically, I could talk for a while about it. So, what I did was I had K-Von whip up some interview questions specifically for Dokkan Assets. Almost
I was on my own this time. Better appreciate it.
In the mindset that like Dokkan Assets wasn't me, but obviously it's me. But like, you know, because we can't ask all the normal questions that we would ask for an interview because, you know, that would just be asking the rest of the questions. So, of course, since we know the identity of Dokkan Assets, the rest of the stuff, supposedly, you know, we can't really ask everything because then it would just be like going into a whole me interview. So,
Dokkan Assets is not a person; it is a state of mind.
It's a bot I created to act like me.
We are Dokkan Assets.
Oh my gosh, it's a hive mind.
Yeah.
Bad.
Well, anyhow, shall I get into the questions?
Yeah, go for it. I'm excited to see what you have done. I have no. By the way,
I feel proud of these.
I have no like prior knowledge on what he's gonna ask. I mean, I know some of it is based on some of the questions we usually ask, but he hasn't told me anything, which is good. So it'll be like a real interview. All right. So hey, let me get into character here. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, Dokkan Assets, nice to see you.
Hey.
Alright, so question number 1. Why did you choose Dokkan Assets for your Twitter tag? Simple question.
I mean, besides the fact that I post Dokkan Assets, funny enough, I did. The original thing was like, I was like, hey, it would be cool to just call the account Dokkan Assets, but I'm sure it's taken already. And then I looked it up, and it was free. I was like, heck yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yatta. So I copped it real quick. Because, you know, like, I don't know. I thought about making some other name. You know, like how different people who do some stuff like this have, like, their own name. And it's not just like, hey, I leak Dokkan Assets, and that's their @ you know? But, like...
That's that right there.
Exactly. So, truthfully enough, I thought that, you know, hey, that would be a really cool account to make, to be, like, the guy known as Dokkan Assets, you know? So, yeah, the @ wasn't taken. I was like, 100%, let's cop it.
All right, interesting. All right, next question. What made you start Datamine Assets to begin with?
Ooh, that's actually a pretty good question. So... Originally, if memory serves, there was a couple of things that I wanted to find in Dokkan that just weren't being posted. You know, like, sometimes some people post little pieces, you know, some of our boys who do HD stuff in the community, once in a while they'll post different pieces, but I don't know, I wanted to kind of find the nitty-gritty, and I've always enjoyed sort of like digging deeper a little bit into like different like games and stuff, and doing like research for a while and really trying to like, I don't know, figure something out. So I wanted to, that was like a little bit of why, because, you know, I thought it would be really cool to kind of figure out the back end of Dokkan, I suppose. Funny enough though, the person who I originally asked, because I knew that they know how to do it, was a common mod from the Dokkan Reddit. Shout out to the boy over there. But he was busy at the time, and he then sent me to somebody else who knew how to do it. Shout out to the homie Dylan Connor at DJ, and it's actually DJames1230 on Twitter. He was the one who originally showed me how to do it, because Common redirected me to him. And from there, he just kind of showed me the whole process of doing everything, and just kind of went from there. I sort of, after I knew like the baseline of how to do things, I sort of just figured out the rest on my own.
Okay.
Which was nice. Like where everything was located and stuff. Like the process he showed me like in depth, which was good.
All right, so this is a good one. Do you have any favorite asset that you've posted?
Ooh.
If so, what is it?
That's a great question. There is quite a few, actually.
All right, give us a few. If it's not too many, give us a few. Why
Sure. One of my all-time favorites, actually, is kind of from recently, which is the coat Goku. Found it funny enough. It's my the Epic Mewtwo Twitter Discord, the Discord icon.
Okay, the one from the
story event, yeah. Cause I don't know why. Like I saw that Goku originally, and I was like, "Dang, that's pretty cool." And I've always been a big fan of the coat as it is. That's like one of my favorite outfits that Goku's ever donned. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's so cool. So I had to use it for a bunch of different stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because it was so nice. There's a couple of other things. I mean, like, an obvious one would be, you know, some of Cell and Gohan's assets are really, really great. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head.
Any older one that you enjoy?
Oh, okay, wait. Before I get to an older one, one other one that I really enjoy is, you know, the winner Cell, where he's like punching away Hercule?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the files, there's like a separate file for that little tiny Hercule. Yeah, small boy Hercule. That Hercule I really like.
Tiny Cell.
Yeah, tiny Cell. But no, I do really like that. One of my favorite renders in the game, and this is definitely a little bit biased, this is a little bit older, is the Xeno Super Saiyan 3 Goku.
Okay, yeah.
Just because, he's doing the Kamehameha and it's like one big solid piece and it looks really, really nice.
Nice.
I'm definitely a big fan of it. Otherwise, I'll give you one goofy one.
Okay.
Blue Gogeta. You might know where I'm going with this.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
He has all these pieces when he's jumping around. Where he's just like going ham, like balls to the walls, and he's like bouncing around, and they have the assets of him like in motion, where it's almost like he's
blur 100.
Yeah, he's motion blurred like a lot, and like I don't know why motion blurred images are just really funny to me, so I really do enjoy that. Other than that, though, I mean, there are tons and tons and tons of good ones to choose from. I could go on and on about it for a while, but I do think probably my, like, current, at least one of my favorites, definitely, because it's kind of hard to choose. But probably the Coat Goku, I guess, would be the immediate answer, at the moment, anyway.
Okay. All right, so this is a bit of a different question here. How was it when you first started out? Like, was it hard? And if so, like, what was the biggest struggle for you when you were starting out?
Okay. Well, when I first started out, of course, whenever you create a new Twitter account for any kind of project, because I've done not stuff like along this path of like posting assets from a game before, but I've made other Twitter accounts for like other different kinds of things. It's always hard, getting that off the ground because it's a lot harder to promote something when you don't really have the people to kind of help promote it who are already kind of big. So that wasn't so difficult with this account a little bit. It was a little bit easier just because since I already, was kind of amigos with some of the big heads in the community, and then obviously posting this kind of stuff just kind of attracts attention from them. I got a couple of retweets and whatnot. So that was, helpful. What hard though, probably in the beginning, I really tried to keep up with every single request that I got. Because people would request like this essay and, that asset from this and all that kind of stuff, right? And that was when I was like under 1K, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier to keep up with that when you have like 200 followers rather than now where I have 3,183.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So that was a little bit difficult, but I was pretty good at keeping up with it because I'd be on there for like a solid hour just like giving people what they're asking for. But it was a little bit hard to keep up with, especially since I was so like dedicated to make sure I gave everybody what they asked for. And then especially, too, like, if it was something that I didn't know where it was located yet, I had to take a little bit more time to go find it. So now I can't really do that as much just because there's so many people asking for so much stuff all the time. But that was pretty difficult to keep up with that in the beginning. And then the issue, of course, which is eventually remedied, but, the fact that Twitter, a little bit after I started, changed how they uploaded images to their site.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't upload. It was really weird, and it was kind of unclear how it worked. Like PNGs would be turned into JPEGs, but only some of them. It was very odd. Because originally I wasn't posting anything but the images. Like now I post the Imgur link, so then people can go in there and make sure that the PNGs are there. Plus, Twitter reduces the quality of images, so then that way people can get like the raw image and it's like full quality. But originally I wasn't doing that, so it was a little bit difficult when Twitter made that change and they were like, "Yep, all this stuff that you just posted, no, do it again."
Do it again.
Yeah, so that was a little bit difficult.
All right. So let's see. All right, so this might be a long one. Can you explain how you get the assets from the game?
Ooh, okay. Well, This is a little bit of a magician's secret type of thing.
I mean, if you don't want to mention it, we can skip it.
No. This is good too, because this is probably one of the questions that I'm asked the most. And this might sort of like wrap into a question later. I know that people, some people definitely have the ability to do this for themselves. And because it's like, you sort of worry, it's like, oh no, now that people know how to do this, it's like they're gonna, take my spot and, just do it themselves, and I won't, be needed. But that's not really the case, because if you do enough digging, you can probably find it. I mean, I just had the connections with the right people, and that's kind of how I went about the digging. I guess I can try and explain it. It's a little bit I'll explain the process. I'll just go through it step by step. Because it's a little bit difficult, because there's some stuff that's a little bit more complicated. But I'll try and explain it a little bit more layman's terms. Plus too, with that one train of thought before with the like, oh, people are just gonna do it themselves and I'm not gonna be needed or whatever. Some people just don't have the tools to be able to do it.
Or just are lazy.
Right. And not only that, some people might not be able to figure out the process or what have you. Plus, I know too, again, like you said, laziness kind of plays in a factor. Some people are like, oh, this guy just posts them all the time anyway, so I might as well just wait for him.
Why do it myself when I can have other people do it for me?
Right. Plus too, since I post them on Twitter, people can kind of like spread them around and whatnot, which is nice. And I know people would kind of just be using it for themselves, which is all good too. And I mean, every account that has popped up that's done something similar to what I've done, I've just hit him with a follow, and I'm like, hey, check out my man's, he does some pretty cool stuff here too. Nice. All right, so in terms of the process, right, let's go from step one. Installing Dokkan.
I mean, yeah, that would help.
Right, so first of all, I use Knox personally, a Android emulator.
No, I thought it was iOS.
I don't know if you can.
I don't think so.
I would kind of assume no, just because Android is a lot more open in terms of like meddling with files and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so installing Knox would be step one. I used to use. I'll kind of explain this just because it's a little bit interesting. Okay. So you have to download Dokkan, right? Originally, when I did this, there was kind of two options for it. You could obviously, get the APK off of the Google Play Store, or if it was JP app, right? Or you could get it from Renzi's DBZ Space. Now, unfortunately, which is completely understandable, and I honestly think that it was probably a good decision on his part, Renzi has since stopped providing APKs. Which is a little bit unfortunate because it makes my job just a little bit harder, which isn't such a big deal. It's more so just a convenience thing that I'll kind of explain in a second, but I'll go down the rabbit hole and then I'll kind of get back to that thought. So you have to download Dokkan. You have to play through the tutorial just one time. You don't have to interact with the game past just getting to the tutorial, downloading all of the information, or at least for the first time, and then getting through it and then getting to the main title screen, right? So after you have that, right, you have all of the game's data downloaded. Now, here's where Renzi's APK is nice. To be able to access the game's files, you have to root your Android device. If you're unfamiliar what that is, for iOS users, that would be jailbreaking your device. I don't want to say it's like hacking. Wait, what?
One sounds a lot more, I guess, sus than the other.
I know. It's really
rooting
weird.
Doesn't sound that bad, but jailbreaking?
Yeah, that's the term that iOS, I guess users say or use when they're just kind of like opening up their phone.
Honestly.
I know. It's a little bit like, whoa, man, edgy, Jailbreaking is kind of a term that's been around for a while since that was able to be done on Apple. But either way, though, it's essentially the same thing. Basically, you're just kind of And when I say opening the phone, I don't mean like, like opening the back and then messing around with the stuff inside, like the hardware. I mean like software wise. You can just basically access files and whatnot and change stuff up that you normally wouldn't be able to edit. To be able to access the files though, I use a program called Root Explorer, which is in Knox. It's an app that you can download. I do believe you have to nab the APK. I don't remember where I got it, but I got it somewhere on the World Wide Web. But pretty easy to find. If you Google it, you can just find a website where you can download it. So you have to have the device rooted, though. Now, that takes a lot of work on an actual, like, Android phone. But thankfully, the magic of Knox is that there's literally just a little box that you can check in the settings, and your phone is automatically rooted, right?
Yeah.
You root it, Knox will restart, and then you can access your phone or your device, I guess, because it's, on the computer because it's an emulator rooted. Now, the nice thing about Renzi's APK is that you could still play Dokkan when your device was rooted, but if you get Dokkan from the Google Play Store or Ku app, it doesn't open if your device is rooted. So before you're able to access new files, like say there's a data download, right? You have to go in and download the data download. So
you have to unroot and then reroot.
Which, is literally like 3 more minutes of work. But when I'm trying to get it out as quickly as I can, it's just a little bit cumbersome. And it's just kind of annoying, I guess. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Imagine if you had to do that on an actual phone.
Right, yeah.
Root and then reroot.
Yeah.
That does not sound fun.
Yeah. I mean, most people, when they root their phone, it's just like rooted permanently, and then they have some workaround. But yes, you're definitely right. Because that's really difficult to unroot and reroot, like, constantly. No, not fun.
No.
Either way, though, right? So... now, because we don't have Renzi's APK, we can't download the data download when the phone is rooted. So you have to unroot it, go in, get the data download, make sure that it's completely in. I usually like to go to the title screen just to make sure everything, or not the title screen, the like your team screen, I guess where the wallpaper is now. Just to kind of make sure. I don't really think it matters, but I don't know. I just like to be 110% sure. So... Go there, right? Then you pop out, unroot, or rather reroute it, sorry, because you were unrooted when you went in and got the data download. So you reroute it, and then you can go in and access the files. Then you can go in, right? And Dokkan is pretty... It's a little bit weird with how it stores its files. Global's files are a little bit more... weird, I guess, than JP's files. Part of the reason why I like to use JP a little bit more, just because it's kind of easier to navigate. But basically, after you go through a couple of different folders on your quote-unquote Android device, which is your emulator, you can access the Dokkan folder, and then in the Dokkan folder, there is an assets folder. And within the assets folder, there's all kinds of different stuff. There's in-game, out-game, script, bunch of different folders. They kind of sound a little bit weird when you're, first looking at them, but they kind of make sense. Once you look at what's in them. In-game is all of your super attacks, transformations, card arts that show up in the battle, right? And then out game is stuff that happens outside of when you go into an event, right? So like your summon animations are stored in there. Your assets on like the home screen, like the little menu bar is stored there, right? All of the so that sort of stuff, right? And then some other folders contain some other interesting stuff. The script folder usually has the assets that are used in like story events and stuff. And those are really cool because usually it's like card arts that are kind of split apart. Like recently we had Fizz LR Cell, and then you were able to separate the Cell Juniors from the art, which is really cool. They have like LR Goku and Vegeta, like the one that goes into Vegeto. They have them separately, which is really cool. So basically then you can access the files from there, but the thing is, they're not just image files because they're compressed, and there's a certain type of file that is to be used like with the app's code, right? So Obviously, if you put that on your computer, it's just going to be nothing. You can't really use it.
Dang, he's nothing.
Exactly. So those files are called CPK files. And it's easy to tell, too, when it's something new, because obviously, like the data download, you'd have to go through and look again. But luckily enough, Root Explorer dates everything when it was added. So it's a little bit easier to kind of find a specific thing that you're looking for if it's newer. But either way, though, I have this program called Repacker CPK. Basically, it has another little application in it called Quick BMS. And Quick BMS allows you to click one or multiple CPK files. And basically, you get those inputted, right? Before that, you do have to run a script for it, essentially. So you run the script that allows you to open CPK files. Then you are able to click on however many you want and then output them into whatever folder. And whatever is condensed in that CPK file, the original file, will be spit out into whatever that, your output folder is. And luckily enough to be able to access the CPK files, because the Quick BMS program is on the computer, not on Knox. Knox has a easy folder where it can share files between. There is a way, I believe, to look at Knox's files, but it's just like an easy place to be able to like spit screenshots, and like if you want to share anything from Knox, there's an easy folder where you can access on the computer that you can get all of that out of. It's kind of like a bridge, I guess you would say, between the two. And then you can take a look at the images, which is really cool. Personally, and I don't know if this might pertain to a question later, but I guess we'll just mention it now. To make the process a little bit easier for me, I've just sort of recreated Dokkan's database with folders on the computer. So if I want to go and find a specific asset, I know where it's located in the database. So then I go into my own sort of, I guess, quote unquote, custom made database. And then I just pull it out of there, right?
Okay.
And if a new file is added that should be, or is, I guess, in the normal database, wherever it's in there, I'll add it into the already pre-existing like database I have, just so then I'm able to find it easier.
Interesting. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I know that was very long-winded, but that's the general process. Yeah.
Hey, that's good. That's some nice knowledge to know.
Your head is spinning.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, so you did ask. I answered.
That is on me. All right, so more asset questions as we go along.
Yeah.
What is the most problematic experience you've had when uploading an asset?
Ooh, okay. Grinding my gears, I see. I like this question. There's kind of two sides to this, or maybe even three things that I can think of mainly.
Three-sided coin? All right.
One is in the actual files. It kind of depends on the situation, but sometimes it's hard to tell if certain files go with certain things in the game.
Okay.
So, because the files aren't labeled like, Blue Evo Super Attack 1, they're labeled like, here, let me actually just pull up an example for you just so I can, one of LR Gohan's files is SP effect, or SP underscore effect underscore B1 underscore 00083 underscore 12.
My favorite super attack.
So, sometimes, right, assets get added with different updates to the game. Mm-hmm. And with that, sometimes it's things that you don't really know right off of just looking at it if it goes with it. Like, most of the time you can just see, like, oh, that's Gohan's hair, or that's 18's shirt, or that's Goku's, like, Kamehameha effect, or something like that. But sometimes if it's little tiny effects or like little text like exclamation marks or just like little key effects that could really go to anything in the game, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's for something else or if it's what it's, been added with.
Yeah, that just doesn't sound fun.
Right. And sometimes, like with files that have been in the game for a while, right? Because if you re-download like Dokkan, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go through the files and get everything out of one of the folders, like we'll just take, for example, the super attack folder. All of the super attacks are out of order. They're not in the order that they were added into the game, right?
Interesting.
Now, lucky for me, since I've been doing it for a little bit, they are in order from the time that I downloaded that initial copy of Dokkan, right? So that's about back to 4th year, I think, if memory serves. So basically up until then, everything else that's come out since then is relatively in order, which is nice, right? It's a little bit easier for me to find it, but if it's an old super attack, that's another thing that's really difficult about it. If it's an old super attack, I have to go through and dig and try and find it with, every super attack in the game. And not just that, sometimes it's a little bit difficult when it's like, the 5th generic Goku Kamehameha super, and they have a slight difference, and I have to try and deduce which one is for which card, And then sometimes like old assets are reused, and then that gets even more confusing. So that part about it is very difficult. Uploading specifically with Imgur, I have a feeling that the folks at Imgur aren't a big fan of me. Because when you're uploading images to Imgur, it takes a minute for them to fully upload if you're uploading a lot at a time.
Okay.
And sometimes they just don't like to upload just because I'm trying to put in so much at once. And I could go one by one, but it's a lot more tedious. And in my mind, it's a lot easier to be able to just like put them all in there and wait a little bit, because it is the nice thing about the way I do it is I post all the assets on Twitter so people can look at them, and then they'll eventually get put into the Imgur link once they're uploaded. I do both at the same time, but obviously since it takes a minute. But like sometimes if I upload too many, it will stop uploading one and say upload failed, but it won't tell you which one. So I'm like, well, now I have to look through the past 25 images I just uploaded and figure out which one isn't here, right?
Yeah.
And especially if, like, a fourth of those are just key blasts, it's even more difficult to try and figure out
That's fair.
what didn't get uploaded. So that's a little bit frustrating sometimes, but I would say probably the most difficult part is like just older super attacks and some little monotonous things that I don't know if they go with a specific thing or not.
All right. Very, very nice answer. All right.
Thank you, my
so
friend.
Next up we have. All right. So this is a pretty interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Have you met or become any closer with any big name YouTubers by starting this account?
Ooh, clout. No. I mean, sure. I've definitely kind of talked a little bit more with Hydros.
Yeah.
Which is cool because he does a lot of stuff with Dokkan assets. He does HD card arts. He does some HD asset stuff. He is obviously, big into the modding scene of Dokkan, right? He works on Trident, right? So he's kind of in sort of the same realm, I guess you would say, of sort of the same stuff I do, kind of. So I have talked to him because he's very knowledgeable about the game's files and how that works. Him, I would definitely say a little bit. There's a couple of people who hit me up in the DMs who make thumbnails that are like, hey, do you have this? Hey, do you have this? So, talking to them all the time about, like, getting them what they need if they need it. And they're not paying me or anything, but, once in a while if they ask, I'll give it to them. But sometimes I won't because I'm like, all right, this is the third time you've asked this week. Like, homie, you gotta relax. I know you want it for the thumbnail, but, like, chill, my boy. Some of those people, though, one cool person that I've talked to is actually the other person that does HD card arts in the Dokkan community. I don't know how to pronounce the man's name. I think it's Ayatone HD. His name is in Japanese. He's like the big other person that does HD card arts.
Okay.
I've talked to him a little bit, which is really cool. And kind of asking him how he does his HD card arts.
Gotcha.
I guess a couple other people who data mine the game I've talked to as well. Yeah, basically that. I mean, sometimes I'll talk to the YouTubers. It is nice because, at least if I'm replying, most of the time I'll get a reply just because they're like, oh, it's this guy Dokkan Assets, we know him. It's kind of funny, though, too, I will admit. Some of the, and this isn't like, I'm not mad about this or anything. I just think it's kind of funny. Some are bigger Dokkan YouTubers follow me on Dokkan Assets, but don't follow me on Epic Mewtwo.
Nice.
Which I will admit, a low key, I'm like, come on, man. But like, no, not really petty. I mean, I understand it. But,
where's my clout?
But like, it's just kind of interesting. I mean, I understand they're following for the assets, right? And then it is nice too, because a lot of the times they'll like retweet my stuff, which is really nice because obviously they already have a pre-existing following. So that's also pretty helpful. But yeah, I'd say mainly some of the people who do like asset stuff. And some data miners and whatnot would probably be it.
Okay. Nice. Alright, so we all know Dokkan Assets has held some contests.
Okay.
The viewers. So
Yeah,
I want to
I
ask,
didn't-
like,
Okay,
that's
go
something
ahead.
I've seen many Twitters do, especially of the Dokkan, like, the data mining variety. So why did you decide to start doing that?
I'm gonna be honest. That is not a question I expected. That's a good one. I'll give you a round of applause for that one.
Hey, let's go.
In the first place, why I did the contest? I don't know. I mean, everybody, you got me stumped on this one. This is a good one. I mean, I kind of just wanted to give back to all the people who were supporting me because, like, even when I was a little bit smaller of an account, and granted, I guess compared to some other people, I'm still pretty relatively small, but I wanted to give back to the people who were supporting me because the people who were supporting me like mad hard. Like, they were going in with the support that they were giving me, which I really, really appreciated. And not only that, I just love the Dokkan community in general. So if I can do something to give back even more so than I already do, I'll definitely take the initiative to. Besides that, though, I love custom cards. When people make their own custom card arts and it's like something fire, shout out to the teen on Twitter. He makes some great stuff. But, I like custom card art, so it's always cool seeing what people can create with that sort of thing. And I thought that it would be really interesting to see what people could come up with all of these assets they now have available to them. Especially when some of them they didn't have available before. Like card art and like the effect of the card and then like the background and stuff and like maybe some super attack assets were readily available, but nobody, at least to my knowledge anyway, was really posting like everything like I do. So it wasn't really out there for the community to be able to use, whether it was just for passion projects or, seeing what is inside the game. So I thought it would be really cool if people could, use the assets that I posted that, you know, again, they necessarily wouldn't have had before, and make something really cool out of it.
All right, nice. I can get behind that. Mm-hmm. All right. So, in that case...
Wait, actually, real quick. I just thought of something else.
Okay, go ahead.
Also, too... then with that, right, whenever somebody wins, I usually give away like a small gift card for something and I'll post their custom card as, like my Twitter icon or whatever. And plus too, it's a nice way to kind of give a little publicity to somebody who makes something really cool. And, you know, especially if they're going to pursue that or they do that a lot on their account. It's a nice way to give somebody a little shout out too.
I can hear that, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So, keeping on the train of thought with the contest, do you have any future contest plans or future plans that involve follower input?
Yes. In terms of the contest thing, I have been doing it consistently every 1,000 followers.
Okay.
So we've done the 1,000 follower one. And we've done the 2,000 follower one, which were both, pretty successful. I have not done the 3,000 follower one because we hit it a lot faster than I expected.
Fair enough.
I hit 2,000 like in July, and then like in September I hit 3,000. Because originally, like, I think it was July. I'm double checking my facts here when I'm looking at like I'm looking at old tweets and stuff.
Okay.
And then in March was 1,000, so it was just a lot quicker than I expected, and especially too, like 300 million downloads really helped with the growth after 2,000 because, you know, obviously everybody wanted to see all of the stuff that it had to offer in terms of assets. You know, of course, Gohan and Cell's essays being absolutely amazing and all the other stuff that's coming out. But a little bit of sidetrack there. But future contests, yes. I will probably set up that 3,000 one soon.
Look forward to that.
The issue, though, is that if we're going to be growing this fast, I don't know if I can keep up doing it every 1,000. Because... especially if people are following and then entering the contest or they find it because of the contest, then that's even more followers I'm getting off of the contest, right?
Fair enough.
So, I think I'll probably do one for 3,000. Maybe after that, I'll kind of reconsider the numbers that I do every contest at, or maybe I'll just do it like every couple of months or something rather than every follower count. I'll kind of have to see how that's going to go. In terms of the contests themselves, though, I do have a couple of other ideas for some contests. It's probably... I like the whole custom card thing. Because most people are able to do something like that. They're able to, you know, at least in some way kind of make their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's something that a lot of people can participate in. Because whenever I have a contest like this, I try and think big picture and see, you know, how many people can I get involved with this sort of thing that they would have to do. Because, you know, if it's something like make an edited video that's high quality of like this from Dokkan, it's like, well, not as many people have the ability to do that, but there's tons of free programs out there, even on mobile, just to be able to slap pictures on top of one another, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you know, people can go above and beyond with like Photoshop or whatnot, but, you know, for the basis of it, it's relatively easy to do. So I think about that sort of thing. And I do like sort of like giving different, how do I say it, like styles, I guess, to each contest, or like different pieces to it, right? So the first contest that I did was limited to only assets from Dokkan, right?
Yeah.
I believe it was, you could also custom make them yourself. But I think, let's see. I will hold. You can only use assets that are. Wait, or as stated above, you can use assets that are not from Dokkan for this, or you cannot. Yeah. So only assets from Dokkan was the original one. And I don't know. I think that there is a lot to be said about, and this might get like a little bit philosophical.
Oh boy.
Being creative, with, like your entire, being, I guess, can bring up some really cool things. But I think, being creative out of restriction can also bring up some really cool things using only what's available to you, right? To try and create something new, rather than creating something new to add into creating something new, if that makes sense. Can bring about some really cool things. So that was kind of the idea with the original. Granted, I know it was a little bit confusing how I worded it originally, and that one was like, that sort of restriction was kind of not as well received. I feel like, not that people were angry about it, but it was just a little bit misunderstood. So I kind of took that into consideration for the next one. And with the next contest I did it that you could use any asset. If you didn't make it right, and it wasn't from Dokkan or Legends or something like that, you had to credit, obviously. You could obviously make your own stuff. But along with the card art, right, you had to make your own card thumbnail and essay/dodge cut-in. And with that, right, it just adds in a little bit of an extra flair that people are able to kind of, add into their submission. And it just makes for some really interesting stuff as well, and it just adds more content, right? So I do have some ideas for stuff kind of along those lines in the future, where it's sort of like, maybe adding some other things from Dokkan into the contest, or, maybe like, this is just an example, like maybe not necessarily this, but like you can only use Legends and Buchigiri match assets to make a Dokkan card. Or like all of the assets have to be custom made, or it's a Dokkan card but there aren't any Dragon Ball characters allowed. Oh,
that would be a fun one. I'd partake in that.
Yeah. Stuff like that. That I think could be really cool. And I like to theme it kind of like that, right? Yeah. Because I think it just adds a little bit more to the contest. So definitely some plans for that. The prizes, I do kind of want to figure out how I can change up the prize a little bit, because right now it's just like the my profile picture, which I think is still a pretty cool little thing anyway. And then it's just like the gift card. Like originally I did the $5 Amazon card, and then this time I did like $10 for Google Play or iTunes, which is nice because then people can use it for stones. But I don't know. In the future, I do kind of want to do something else with that. For the time being, it'll probably just be the gift card, because that's the easiest thing that you can do. The easiest thing that I can do right now. Plus then, everybody who plays Dokkan, which is the demographic of this, can use it.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Right. So, all that for contests. I do really like the contest too, because it just gets the whole community involved. And, even if you can't make the card art necessarily, it's all these cool card arts that people can be like, wow, that's awesome, Yeah. And like every entry I always retweet. So, then it like gets popped onto the people's TLs. I assume they have my retweets on. Maybe they don't, but
put it on if you haven't. There's your there's your reward.
Shameless plug, yeah. All right. But other rather user created input. I do ask once in a while for some different things, like with the logistics of the account and like how I upload images and stuff, and like some of the more minute details. That was a word I was looking for earlier that I couldn't remember. I've asked for input about that in the past, and I do really appreciate it, because obviously, like it's not just me using the account, but all these other people getting the assets from it. I do want to do some other like community involved stuff other than just like contests. Though contest is like a pretty easy format to be able to do that through.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know how I'm going to do that yet. I'm still kind of brainstorming some ideas for that. But since I do have, this kind of not really big following, I don't want to sound like I'm, some big shot and sound all pompous about it. But, since I do have people following me and people watching the account, I definitely think it would be cool to be able to do something else with like community response like that. So, yeah. That's all I got.
All right. Let me get back on track. Okay, this one I liked thinking up. Do you feel you have any competition when it comes to uploading Dokkan assets?
Hydros, so, I'm coming for your numbers, bro. No. Direct competition, no. I try and not view it that way. I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but like with people who do similar stuff that I do in terms of like posting Dokkan assets and whatnot, I try and more so like at least follow them and give them a shout out. If not, try and at least just, hit them up in the DMs and be like, hey, what's up, man? Whatever. Okay. Necessarily competition. Again, I try and not view it that way. The only, if I was gonna say competition, I mean, Hydros doesn't post, the complete Dokkan assets like I do. He, does his own little thing with the HD and whatnot. I just post it raw. There was a Dokkan Asset Spanish account that popped up a little bit after I did. I don't know what happened to them. The last time
Reduced Adams.
Yeah, the last time I checked on their account, which granted was a little bit ago, they weren't currently active. I kind of think that they probably made it because I did. Because it popped up after I did, and they called it Dokkan Assets Full, and Dokkan Assets Completo is the name of the title.
Interesting.
And then it's just Dokkan Assets Espanol, right? It low-key could have been ran by me if I spoke Spanish, But, I mean, I guess I would have considered them quote-unquote competition. But they don't post Imgur links like I do, so some of their images get turned into JPEGs, and again, right now they're inactive. So, I mean, people out there, if they want to make another account, I mean, it's all good. Again, it's nice too, more so having those people out there, because then it's just more people to bounce ideas off of and figure out where you can find files that might be a little bit more difficult to dig up, because obviously it's just more eyes looking on the inside of the game. So, I don't know. I kind of view it as a good thing, not necessarily competition, but Hydros, I'm coming for you, bro. No.
Watch out, Hydros.
Yeah, there's a new sheriff in town.
Alright, so this one may be a bit of a weird question, but since you have access to most of the in-game files, have you ever found files or the way they're organized and just asked yourself, what was Akatsuki thinking when they did this?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that question. I forgot to talk about it in a previous question, actually, so this kind of brings this back up.
Oh, boy.
Organization-wise, there's a couple of things that are really weird. But for the most part, the biggest problem, funny enough, that I have with how they organize the Dokkan assets is Global's assets specifically. And trust me, this isn't because I main JP and I'm trying to dog on Global. It ain't that. I know. Shifty eyes. But the way they organize the files, makes sense, but also doesn't.
Yes, but actually no.
Exactly. So they have their main folders, right? The folders I was talking about before. But then they have folders called like EN and FR for like, English, French, so on and so forth, right?
The French version, as we love.
Right, because, like, I think it's every language. I don't know how many languages there actually are for Dokkan, but,
quite a few at least.
A bunch of the different languages, though, that, like, are available on Global are all in the one, like, APK. It's not, like, different ones for every region. The Global one is the Global one for everywhere. At least as far as I understand, anyway. Yeah. But like, we'll just take the English one, for example. So they have like the main folder. So we'll take like out game, for example, right? So they have the out game folder, right? Which is where a bunch of different stuff is stored. But for the sake of the example here, we'll say the summon assets, right? So in the EN folder, right, there are the assets that are originally in Japanese, right? Because even if it's text, it's still an image file for like the bigger pieces in the game, right? Like the scrolling text on the menu is still text. And like the cards, like, when you're looking at what they do is text, right?
Yeah.
But like this stuff like, the pull back and then release, right? Is an image. So that sort of stuff is in the EN folder for English, which I'm like, all right, makes sense. They could have just added it into the normal folder, and that would have been essentially the same result because the game would just pull it from there anyway. But it's weird because it's not just files that are English files. It's also files that are related to the files that are in English. Which are like, okay, well, that makes more sense then, because then they're grouping together everything that's, like English with the English stuff, but they don't do that. Some of the files that are just images are stored in the original folder, like how it is on JP, but then some of the files that don't have any change necessary are stored with the files that need the English change. So they just have this weird, like, mix of how they do stuff. Like, there's no...
That's really weird.
Yeah, like, there's no... to me, at least, it doesn't really seem like there's any rhyme or reason. Like, they have some of the assets that are just, like, images of stuff happening with the English files, but then they have, like, Goku winding up to do the Kamehameha for the summon, like, in the normal folder.
All right, then.
It's weird. Like, and then...
That is very weird.
Yeah, like, and sometimes it's pretty streamlined with some of the folders. Like, it seems like it's really just mostly only English stuff, and the rest of what should be outside of it is outside of it. But a lot of the files are just thrown in with the other language files that don't have a change necessary, because it's just like an image of something, and it doesn't have any text on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very weird.
Really weird. So it's a little bit more difficult to find files sometimes, because then you have to go through both and try and figure out where everything is. Other than that, how they format it, one really weird thing that they did was that they already had a wallpaper folder before, though like the wallpaper mechanic got implemented, but then they made a new one. Put like the wallpapers in there too when they already had an existing one. I don't know. It's just a little bit weird.
That's weird.
Besides that, I will tell you one thing that's frustrating to me about how they do it. Besides, I guess, everything that I just said, is that they don't take old or not used assets anymore out of the game. Granted, I suppose in the future, they could reuse them for something down the line. But with how the game operates now with the assets, most likely it would just be re-added in, and not only that, probably given a little bit of a quality upgrade.
Yeah.
So it's just so strange to me. Like, for example, the old summon animation, right? Which I guess, granted, is used in the tutorial still, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess there's a chance of you getting Shinron in the tutorial. I've never heard of that happening, but like, You know, the old Shinron animation that when you got it, it was like, whoa! That's still in the assets. And, like, the other thing is, too, it's like, if they're going to reuse that Shinron, it's not being taken out of the same image, like, file as that Shinron is. It's another file in the folder where it needs to be placed in the game. So, it's just really weird because, like, with that sort of thing, I would... as a, like, I don't know, in my mind, and again, I'm not a game developer or anything like that, but... as a game developer, I would think that you would want to make the game as small as possible so then more people could play it because, you know, you never know how much space some people's phones have, you know, in this case, or like their computer if it's a PC game. And I would always think that you would just want to condense your files and make everything as, you know, condensed as possible, especially with like coding, right? You want to make your code as condensed and simplified as possible. You know, code can be as long, you know, as it can be, but you can condense it and make it shorter, and that's always the better way to do it. So it just doesn't make sense to me that they keep some of these old files in there that aren't used anymore, when they could just take them out and then reduce the size of the game, because Dokkan's only getting bigger with every data download, right? And eventually it's going to get to the point where you're going to need to either delete some more stuff or get a bigger SD card. So it's just so strange to me that they don't seem to care about, like, condensing the file size of the game, you know, by, like, getting rid of some of this unused stuff. I don't know. Just very weird and a little bit frustrating, I'm not going to lie.
No, I can understand that. All right, so on to the next question. This is interesting. I'm curious to see what you think. Do you feel that unused assets can be a reliable to predict future cards coming to Dokkan? With the example of, remember the story event where we saw Goku and Gohan?
Yeah.
They became the exchange Goku and Gohan. Do you think that could be a trend?
See, funny enough, this is actually something that I've thought a little bit about. Yes, but no.
That's the answer all the time, ain't it?
So, it's really hard to say, because we were right with the exchange, you know, Gohan and Goku, they were story assets before, and then they became cards, right?
Yeah.
But then we also had the instance as well, more recently, again with 300 million downloads, where we had the brand new Goku assets, right?
I know what you're about to go with.
The one Goku that was I was talking about earlier, my favorite, the Goku with like the Cell Saga coat. They also had a variation of that in his normal gi. And then there was an asset where he was like, you know, standing there. I believe his fist was up and he's a little bit more battle damaged. In the 300 million downloads intro, that's the image that flies by when he goes, "Okay, Gohan, you're up." So both of those pieces of art would be like easy clap, perfect SSR cards. Like, they're already in the SSR style. They're a good size. The pixel quality is good. You know, the art style, or the art, I guess, quality of the art is good enough to be a card and not just like a story asset. You know, like when characters are talking and they're like cutting in, like those definitely aren't really good enough to be maybe anything more than smaller SA assets if they were going to use them for that. But those were two really good pieces of art, and I was like super omega confident, and I think a lot of the other people in the community were, that we were going to get a Bye Guys Goku, and I was like, yep, right there. That could easy clap be the SSR and then the TUR with both of those assets, and then he could, you know, Dokkan Awaken into whatever they were going to do for a Bye Guys Goku. And then we got bamboozled because the loading screen had Bye Guys Goku, and then he didn't even come, but I digress.
True. Let me stop you right there, though.
Nani?
Does that confirm, though, that we're not getting one in the future with those exact assets? Because remember way back when in the original AGL Vegeto Dokkan event, there was a certain STR Goku that I'm pretty sure a year or two later became the SSR of Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So what's to say this couldn't be a situation like that?
Fair. That is true. Um, Unfortunately, then though, I would have to kind of imagine my boy Goku won't be getting a card. Even though I would love that as a free-to-play card because it's literally just a clothes swap of the other asset in the game.
Yeah.
And they've never done that before. Like it's the exact same card but just with different clothes.
UI Goku.
What do you mean?
There is an Int UI Goku that has a shirt on.
Yeah, but that's not... No, but it's not... It's not the card art, though.
True, but
it's like another asset in the game. No. I know, but I'm saying, like, they've never made it an official card where it's just a clothes swap before.
True.
Like, those assets are in the game. They've done it a couple of times like that, but it's not like another card.
Some SR cards that are literally the same card, just with type.
I mean... Yes, but that's a little bit different. I mean, like the N Cybermen are a little bit different than like an LR.
I'm talking about like the Heck Fighter 17, as we call it, and the Trenchcoat 17 that both Dokkan Awaken into Super 17. It's both the same art, just different types.
I mean, I guess for the character, there is a little bit of a difference. I think. But I see where you're coming from. I don't know. That's a little bit more different because those are two, like, they're the same character, but technically different characters.
There's also the AGL Roshi.
Which one?
There's an AGL and Tech Full Power Roshi that share the same art.
Isn't the quality changed a little bit, though? Because one's newer? No?
No.
Send me a link.
They came out at the same time.
Send me a link to it.
I can't right now, but either way, that doesn't pertain to the conversation that much.
Okay.
So anyways, back to the thing.
But yeah, no, back to the original question. I mean, I would say for the most part, probably. I mean, it's safe to say that they can definitely do that. I mean, another good example where they did do that is the STR LR Frieza, right? His art was in the game for mad long.
That's very true.
And they only used him more so recently, right?
Plus, you gotta think about it. Akatsuki probably wants to be lazy.
Right.
Perfectly good assets right there.
Right, exactly. And I mean, why not reuse it, though? Because it's like, then it's just, less work for them. And then, not only that, right? It's already existing. I mean, I guess it's just less work for them in general, yeah. So, I don't know. I'd say probably. I think there's still some cases where we could definitely get bamboozled, but... I'd say if anything is good enough quality art, it definitely has a chance of becoming a card.
Alright. I can hear that. Alright, so to jump back on the contest question a bit more. What would you say is your favorite fan-submitted card or favorite fan piece that you've seen created using the assets you've determined?
Ooh. You might know the answer to this already.
I probably do.
There's a couple... that I think are really, really good. We could probably be here for another hour, just me talking about the custom cards, but
only one. Your
only one? No, I'm not giving you only one. I'm giving you like top 3.
Only one.
Okay, probably. Oh man, only one.
All right, I'll give you an honorable mention. How about that?
Okay. Probably my favorite. And this is so weird because like I think the character's cool, but he's not like my favorite character. Is the winner of the last contest?
I know it.
The first form Cell card that won. By Vegeto 6. At Vegeto 6 on Twitter. It's so good. Like, he used some of Fizz Piccolo's assets, and he used the first form Cell assets as well, and he combined them to reference the fight between Piccolo and first form Cell. It's just so good. Like, okay, so the Cell is in the middle, which is great. He has a little bit of an aura, which is a great effect. And then he has...
You'll put a link to it in the description.
Yes, he has a ki aura as well around him. And the ki aura fits extremely well with the Cell card. And even the color is right, because if I recall, that the normal like Super Saiyan color was Cell's aura for then. Or at least it's just, a general Dragon Ball aura that works really well. The rocky background is very nice with the sky at the top. That sky might actually be from Kid Goku's essay now that I'm looking at it. But the explosion effect as well under Cell of him like charging forward, with like the dust behind him.
Yeah.
And then not only that, the very nice addition of Piccolo's face in the background. It's not too cumbersome. It fits very well with the image. And the way that he cut the rest of Piccolo is very good. Like you can see a little bit of Piccolo's shoulder in between his head and his ear. But beyond the ear, there's not any more. And I think that was a great place to cut it because then it doesn't intrude too much on Cell. And as well, keeping that little bit of the shoulder was good too because Piccolo's head floating there would look a little bit weird. But it's kind of also a little bit of the style of how AGL Zamasu is, right? With Rose in the background.
Yeah.
But overall, I would 100% believe you if you told me that this was going to be a card in Dokkan. There are a couple of little discrepancies that I could, talk about. But overall, a very, very solid fan card. He did a good job with the thumbnail and the essay cut-in as well. It was a little bit choppy, but the essay cut-in base asset is already kind of a little bit low quality, so it's kind of hard to get good edges on it unless you like remake it. But overall, though, fantastic card. And like I like Imperfect Cell. He's maybe not my favorite character in the world, but like I do like his character, but I don't know. It's a weird relationship, I suppose, that I have with Imperfect Cell. But either way, the card so good. An honorable mention. I'll have to give it to my homie. Oh boy, I hope I don't butcher his name. Zakshi. It's a ZAKSHI_. That's the @ on Twitter. He does a lot of custom cards. He's sort of a little bit of a smaller custom card creator. He also makes some like wallpapers and like Twitter banners and stuff as well. But he's got some pretty good customs. And in the last contest that I held, he actually entered both, I believe. Nice. He was very close to winning. He made a really, really cool Rosé card using some Buchigiri assets, amongst some other things. Yeah, he had the scythe, a little key blast in the hand. The effect was nice. It rotated around Rosé. It kind of gave that effect. It went in front of his boots and then behind him. The big opening in the background, when Vegeta's like, what are these things? And Rosé's like, I don't even know myself, That is very, very well constructed. So shout out to my boy there. He I don't want to like expose him like this, but low key he's like kind of insecure about his work from like his tweets, but he makes great stuff. So shout out to my boy there. But most likely I would probably say that Imperfect Cell. Although, can I give you something that isn't a card art? Is that okay?
Okay, sure. Throw a wrench in my plan. Let's go.
Yeah. Some people have made some really cool super attacks from the assets that I posted. I know recently there was one that I retweeted that was this super dope. I'll send you a link to it. A super dope Super Saiyan 4 Goku that low key blew the official one out of the water.
Oh dang.
Because it was really good. I don't know if it was the same guy, but someone else made a really nice Future Gohan one before as well. That was pretty cool. And then I know someone made one where they had their own like custom hand-drawn assets mixed in with some stuff from the game. And it was a pretty cool Vegeto Blue one. That I know is pretty cool, but it's really cool just like seeing this stuff reused and like reanimated. Into other stuff. So I'm a big fan of that. I love it when people do that. Usually if people say, hey, I made this I made this little, animation using your assets, or I made this card art using your assets. I'll usually retweet it because it's usually pretty high quality stuff.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I really, really like it. The most recent thing there that I sent you, if you want to take a look at it, is the essay. It's really, really good. And people use it too, like they combined different things from like different essays for the same character to create something new as well. And sometimes they even use assets that are like, I don't know how to explain it, like not necessarily used in the same way that they're used in the game.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah. Really, really cool. I have no idea how they do it. I unfortunately, like when it comes to that sort of video editing and animation and whatnot, I'm no expert on it. But really cool either way. Definitely a fan.
Very nice. All right. So this question might be a bit of a weird one, but so as we all know, the community, I'm sure the community appreciates all the data mining people do for essays, for and all that. But do you think it's unhealthy for the game at this point, or does it hurt the company?
Ooh, you're asking the hard hitting questions. See, this is a very big conflict for me, because I will admit when I initially created the account, I was like, am I gonna get in trouble for like uploading this stuff? Because I was like, well, I guess other people do something similar, so probably not, though I am going pretty, go big or go home about it. Is it good for the game? I would say yes. There are downsides to it. But the good things about it, people get to see assets that they normally wouldn't be able to see, sometimes just at all, sometimes isolated from the game. And I think that's really cool. Not only that, just because you're getting to see some of the inner workings and pieces of a game that you love that you normally wouldn't get to experience, especially in such a unique way. On top of that too, it just allows for more hype in the community, in my opinion. Not just with us being able to see stuff early, like not just essay assets, right? But like just being able to see like cards early and like what they do and stuff. In my opinion, it just allows for more hype to be built for it. And I think from Bandai's perspective, obviously I don't know if they see it this way, but that's just a good thing, because then it gets people more excited and then it gets them to spend more, right?
Fair enough.
Because they're already looking forward to this thing and they already know a little bit more about it before the game even tells them about it. Because, if we didn't have all this data mining, realistically, we wouldn't know what the card does until it was literally just like in the game, right? And then we could view it in the Awakening tab or something. So people can get really excited for cards before they're even released, just because we already have the information on them. Particularly with assets, I kind of talked about that before, but then people can see the super attack assets and be like, okay, this is fire, I need to summon for this. And we do know too that there are people who work on the game that look at the Reddit. So I'm 100% sure that, they're well aware that this kind of stuff is going on by now. How could they not? The data miners are some of the biggest people in the community. So I think it's good for the game in that way, not just because then it gets people excited and talking and discussing about a game that they really love, but then it's also good for the company, because then it's just, adding more excitement and hype to, their game, and then again, getting more people to play more consistently, potentially getting them to spend more. so on and so forth. I will say it has always been a little bit of a argument in my head, I guess, because as a company, I would think despite that, you would always want your source of the information to be the first source of information that people go to and or find out about something new in whatever your, product is that you're promoting.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're the official source, right? Unfortunately, though, realistically, in this day and age, that's kind of impossible. Because just how curious people are with the inner workings of things and how much people know about, just technology, computers, how games work specifically in this case. It's really easy for people to crack into a game, like as soon as they can, I mean, like, take, for example, Pokemon Masters, right? Like, the day that the game came out, we already knew like 5 other trainers who weren't in the game, from a basic user perspective. We already knew that they were in the files, right? And like, that's just because people know how to get into the files by now of basically any app that would come out, right? So I do think it's kind of unavoidable, unfortunately, from the side of like, the company, of course, wants to be the people who announce it. But at the same time, I do think that it's good for the game because, like I said before, it gets people talking, it gets people excited, the potential to spend more. Now, I will say, the only time that I guess the early thing in learning the information would be negative, I guess, to the company is if people have a negative image of the product, or I guess in this case the card, before it even comes out. Take for example, I guess recently we had Cell and Gohan, where a lot of people were like, nope, they're trash, I'm not summoning for them. But because they didn't try them out in the game, they didn't get to see how good they really were, right? Because they really were good cards, despite the what it says on paper, and even on paper they were still good. But you get my point, right? So sometimes it may discourage people from, trying to pull the unit in this case. So I'd say that there's good and bad. In my opinion, it's more so good, but maybe again, I suppose I am a little bit biased because I am in the community and I keep up with this sort of stuff. But looking from the company's perspective, I still see it as a good thing with downsides, I guess I would say.
Alright, nice answer. I like that. Alright, so second to last question.
Okay.
We've been going on for a while.
That's all right.
Is there anything I haven't mentioned that you would like to talk about? Very simple one.
Oh boy, I think we kind of covered. Oh, yes, actually. I did talk about it a little bit, but I would like to kind of reiterate it here.
Okay.
The reason why I created Dokkan Assets in the first place. Besides the fact that I enjoy digging into stuff and, now that I've gotten to this, like digging into game files and just seeing what's in there and whatnot, it's sort of, if you've ever seen the movie Robots,
I believe so, yes.
It's the philosophy of see a need, fill a need.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. With that, right, I kind of just took a look at the Dokkan community and I wanted to do a little bit, of like another project for it. And I was like, what's missing? And then I kind of had this, this other thing going on of like, well, now I know how to get the, assets and content that people normally wouldn't see out of the game. And I was like, well, hold on. No one's really posting all of this stuff in its entirety. So it would be really cool to be able to give the community access to all of this kind of stuff. So,
Sure.
I was like, you know what? I use Twitter basically 4 of my 12-hour day anyway. So, might as well make a Twitter account. And, it's a pretty pop-in place for the Dokkan community. And, post the content there because then people can get access to it and they can use it for, whatever they may want. However they use it to me, I like looking at it. It doesn't really matter how people, use it to me. I mean, it's cool however they use it. But, it's just there to, be observed and be used. And from the start, it was always meant to be like this free thing, of course, because I know some people ask like, hey, could we donate to you or something in the past? But I'm like, I don't really want donations, because the whole thing is like, it's supposed to be a way for anyone to be able to access this sort of stuff, and not be restricted by money or anything else. And granted, I know a donation is a little bit different than like a Patreon or something, but I just didn't really want any money for it. It's a passion project of mine. I just kind of wanted to do it for free and give back to the community. And that's why, too, like, I literally never, unless it specifically pertains to Dokkan assets, promote my Epic Mewtwo stuff on there. Granted, before I was kind of keeping my identity, secret, just because, I didn't know how it was going to turn out in the beginning if, Dokkan... Because, I follow the official Dokkan Twitter on Dokkan Assets, and I retweet their stuff all the time. I didn't know if they'd see it and be like, all right, shut it down, boys, send the Bandai Ninjas over. And then they, like, associate it with me. But now I kind of think I'm probably in the clear. And on top of that, too, it's a way of... If people want to support me, they can just check out my channel and watch a couple of videos, give me some ad sets. Granted, YouTube ain't so forgiving with that sort of thing, but either way, though, it's still supporting me and checking out some of my other content. But I never really even promote that stuff, like, ever. Like, the only time I've ever, like, to put this in perspective, I didn't even retweet the Dokkan Assets Epic Mewtwo collab, because it really, at the end of the day, didn't really have anything to do with Dokkan Assets. It was just kind of using the name for the meme. And granted, I'm sure I could have just retweeted it and it would have been fine. Nobody would have, cared anyway. But, like, in my mind, I just have this very, like, strict guideline to follow for myself with the account. Where, if it's not related to the account directly, I don't promote it. The only time I've ever promoted it was that original tweet where I kind of talked about this sort of stuff, and the video I made how to search Dokkan assets, because, I figured that was kind of important and actually literally pertained to the account specifically. I do have a couple other video ideas to make about the account in the future, but that's a different topic in and of itself. But yeah, no, I just created Dokkan Assets to, be a place that I could post it and people could access it and really enjoy some stuff that they don't normally get to see. Which, I think so far I've been able to definitely successfully do that. And not only that, kind of not only just make a little community with the people following me, but, get some community feedback and some community involvement with, like, the giveaways and stuff we talked about before. That does sort of lead me into my next point of just, like, promotion. I don't, like, if people ask most of the time to get promoted, I usually won't do it. I don't know. I have this weird stigma in my head about, like, promotion and stuff. Like, if somebody comes up to me and is like, hey, can you shout me out on your YouTube channel? It's like, no. Why would I do that? It's like, you're not, like, I'll help out a homie, but if you're not making content that my people aren't going to enjoy, then why am I going to promote it? And, if it's like somebody who doesn't upload consistently or whatever, the case may be with whatever they make, it's like, well, how do I know you're not just going to disappear, 2 days from now and then never come back and just sit there with all these followers? And so, like, it is, like, a little bit of the same and a little bit different for Dokkan Assets, because obviously it's like, it's Twitter, it's not like a YouTube video, but, excuse me, if people come up to me and usually ask for promotion, I usually don't give it to them. Every single time that I've shouted somebody out, besides, I guess, myself, technically, on the account has always just been me really just enjoying what the person puts out. And they have, never asked me before, hey, can you retweet my content, whatever. And granted, like, I don't know, it's not it's not very harmful. It's pretty harmless unless it, gets to the point of harassment, which I haven't had that happen before, which is good. Keep that up.
Yeah.
So, most of the time when it's like something that I just really enjoy and I think people that follow the account will like, I'm like, all right, well, here it is, right? Actually, the only other time I think I promoted myself was when I made Buchigiri assets, which is kind of inactive right now, which is, again, another conversation, but that's along the same lines as Dokkan assets.
Not the right podcast for this.
Right. But a little bit different, right? What was the other thing that I wanted to say? Oh no, I had something in my head.
Oof.
Oh, I'll think of it maybe. But yeah, either way though, I do really enjoy doing it. Because I know a lot of people are like, why? And I'm like, I don't know, it's just fun. Even when it's a little bit tedious. Then it's also really cool, seeing everybody's reactions to it. It's like, wow, this is so cool, whatever. And of course, everybody giving support is always nice, even though I would be fine if everybody, I didn't get a single reply to any of my tweets. It is always nice getting a little bit of validation from the people that you're kind of posting it to, have them say, hey, thank you for posting this. I appreciate the work you put in. I'm like, thanks, man. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. This is, I guess, kind of about promotion as well, but more so like me getting promoted without me doing anything. Shout out to the homies on the Dokkan Reddit for putting my stuff up on Reddit posts. I don't have like a Dokkan Assets Reddit account or anything. I thought about making one just to kind of cop the name. But like, I think technically if you put your own stuff on the Reddit, it's considered self-promotion and then you're banned.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to post my own stuff even if it was like, like stuff that's important and people want to see because it's like data mined info. All the other data miners, I don't even think, they don't post their own stuff. It's just other people end up posting on the Reddit. But I popped on the Reddit a couple times just like looking for stuff for news videos and whatever. And like sometimes I'll see it or sometimes I think you show me it in the past too. People will just post my tweets on the Reddit and be like, hey, here's a bunch of new Dokkan assets. And like, oh, what is this or where's it from or whatever. And they'll be like, hey, the homie Dokkan assets uploaded it. So shout out to all of you. Thank you for doing that. I've never even like talked about the Dokkan Reddit. I don't think maybe once before, but not about that. I never talked about it until that happened. And I tweeted about it and I was like, hey, shout out to y'all. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's just kind of spreading it a little bit more, and getting my stuff out there and the stuff that's in Dokkan that, I hope that people would want to see. It is very surreal, I will admit, because I will admit, to some degree, I do look up to a lot of these people that, give us the information about the game. They're just people like me and you, but, they still kind of hold a special place in your heart. And seeing, that kind of happen to me is very weird. But it's very cool as well,
Yeah.
So, yeah, surreal is definitely the word to describe that.
All right, well, I think we've been going long enough, so one last question and it all. Do you have a question for me?
Our Trump question at the end of every interview.
Yep.
I think I did have one in mind before, but it kind of fell out because I know I've been talking for mad long. Okay, can I ask two questions, actually? Do I have to limit it to one? Because one's kind of small.
Boy, all right, fine.
Hey, I'm compensating
just for you, BB.
Thank you. Since I am not getting asked a question for, like, the guest asking, I'm taking my question. Okay. One would be, what is your favorite asset, either, like, in the game or that I've posted?
I have to go with the emotion blur Gogeta too.
I don't blame you.
It's too good.
It's very good. We've used it too many times in memes, and yeah. I don't blame you for that. That's good. Okay, so then one that's not that. What would you have to pick?
Honestly, the asset I really like is it's in Gohan's 12 key, the new AJ Gohan, where he's like yelling like right before the super starts.
Okay.
That one. I honestly like that shot.
That's cool. Yeah, they did him really good, I think. I'm glad that they gave some love to Super Saiyan 1, too.
Yeah.
Or not Super Saiyan 1, 2, like Super Saiyan 1 also. You know what I meant. The other question I would have to ask you is what kind of things would you like to see come out of the account in terms of like community involvement?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, if anything, maybe like I do like the contests personally. Maybe you could theme them more, like make it a specific character they have to do it as,
Okay.
or like a specific saga or moment that they have to make a card out of.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right.
Or like an art, rather. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that because then that would also kind of streamline the results, and it wouldn't be as all over the place, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Do you have a specific scene in mind? Is that why you're saying that, or you just like?
No, that was just off the top of my head.
I was gonna say, because then we could do that scene for the next one, and you could make it if you wanted to.
That's why it's a secret.
But no, I do like that. That's actually something that I don't think I thought of.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll definitely take that into consideration. All right.
I think that does it with our interview.
Yeah.
Theo, come back. Dokkan assets.
Hey, thanks for having me on, bro. I'll catch you later. Hold up, I'll go get him.
Later,
Hey,
dude.
bro. Hey, it's your turn to come back.
Oh, Theo, you're back.
Oh, hey. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
What'd you miss?
I had to go do something real quick. Sorry about that. What happened?
You missed the entire interview, man.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah, we're just about to end it. Hit us with those closing words.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. All right, well, I'll have to watch it in post. All right, y'all.
Good idea.
Thank you so much for coming by. We always really appreciate you. Please let us know if you enjoyed in the comments section below. Of course, your thoughts and opinions, any of the questions that I asked Kayvon, definitely give your answers in the comment section below because I want to hear some community feedback as well. From all of us here at the Extreme Z Podcast, we will see you in the next one.
Later, guys.